I was 25 when I went in. You asked me about jobs. I don't know about, it's kind of interesting to me because I talk to people your age, and people your age are always looking for internships and stuff. And, you know, when I grew up, I sat groceries, I waited tables, I delivered lazy boy chairs in a van. I worked for a home restoration group and learned a lot about the trades, lots of stuff like that. In college, I worked for an oil pipeline crew as a welder's helper and did lots of things like that. Hot, you know, dirty, oily summer work, but it made good money for college. While I was waiting for I had a date to go into officer training school, and it was about 8 months out, so they were forecasting ahead. So I was in Waco, kind of waiting, and I got a job at the M&M Mars candy plant in Waco.
That's
and
sweet.
It paid, yeah, really well for what it's worth. They did Snickers, Twix, Skittles, and Starbursts there, and I was on the Twix line. And they had a deal that if you worked up to 1,000 hours, you didn't get benefits. And I didn't need benefits. I just needed to make a living until I went to officer training school. So I stayed in shape and stuff, and I worked at the candy factory, and I did well. And then when I hit my 1,000 hours was about the time I went into officer training school, which at the time was in San Antonio. Now they've moved it to Montgomery, Alabama, but it used to be at Lackland. And I went down there and let them turn me into somebody else, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But I have a lot of job experience. I've done a lot of different things.
It's always interesting to see kind of where the veterans that we've interviewed go prior to going into the service. And usually it's jobs like you said, working at a grocery store. It's never full-on careers, usually.
When I graduated from Baylor with my philosophy degree, just one more thing, they had offered me a fellowship to stay and do graduate school there. But I was just tired of it. So the military ended up being sort of an alternative. So, and then when you take your Air Force or your military tests, they test you really well because they want to know where your aptitudes are. So when I took the military test, I wasn't that good at mechanical things. You know, I can figure out stuff and do a starter or whatever. You know, I do my own oil, but gears and things. They want to know if they want you to be a maintenance officer or a contracting officer or an academic or a trainer or whatever. So I did real well on the verbal and the writing and the comprehension and everything, but and really good on the math, but not as good on the mechanical. So based on your scores, they go, all right, well, you're going here because you're good at that. And so they have a nice, as a philosopher, I understand that because, you know, Plato, even in his Republic, would say that you want people to go where they're best suited, because if they're doing things they're good at, they'll be happier.
Absolutely.
And more content, right? So that's kind of how it works.
So what made you choose the Marine Corps?